Onlooker him! One-handed catch! Oh, he's got it!
Boys and girls, welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan and I'll be your pilot tonight. I am all so excited to hear from you boys and girls. We're going to be, if you guys are coming over from the Talking Jets draft show with myself and Dom C, thank you for coming in. Make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't checked that out, you got to go check it out because Dom C has a breakdown of every single player that the Jets have met with through all the various steps, whether it's the Senior Bowl, the Combine, the Pro Days, the top 30 visits, virtual meetings, all that. There is a spreadsheet that is absolutely incredible that we looked at on that show, so I'll let you guys head over there to take a look at that. Dom C is an absolute dog. We're going to do the call-in show. I'll get to your calls. We're going to start that at 9:15, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts to start here. And then after this show at 10 o'clock, I'm sending you guys directly over to Green Bean's 10 o'clock mock. You guys will just get pushed over there after this stream, so you don't even have to worry. You don't even have to click anything. Just sit back, relax, 3+ straight hours with the 10 o'clock mock of Jets content. Always excited to have you guys in here. I see Dakota nice and early in the chat. He's saying Brock Bowers at 10. Dakota says Jason Brownlee will be on soon, I expect. Hopefully not too soon. Rube says 7 p.m. I don't know what you're talking about 7 p.m. That makes no sense to me. Name not found says I'd argue Key is Bo Nix. So if you guys are seeing let's actually reel it back in. And I'll tell you guys a little bit about my thoughts and why I think Michael Penix is the key to the Jets trade down opportunities. And look, it might be, you could put a little asterisk, maybe Bo Nix, one of these two quarterbacks is going to be the key for the Jets possibly being able to slide down, or the Jets getting a better player than they were otherwise expecting. Because maybe that means the Bears, if they're more likely to slide down for either the same price or slightly less than what the Jets would be asking for the 10 pick, maybe it's cheaper for the Broncos to hop up to 9, or of same value to hop up to 9, and then they don't have to deal with that Nathaniel Hackett guy and not try to help us out. Maybe that's what they're kind of considering. But Michael Penix, to me, when I'm looking at the quarterbacks in this draft, I'm just sitting back. I'm not looking at all the extra stuff that comes with it. I like Michael Penix. He, to me, looks like he's the most pro-ready, played in the big games, had the arm strength, just had a poise about him in the pocket that I thought was really, really impressive. It seemed like he was not confused pre or post-snap. Might be hard to kind of explain that, but it didn't feel like he was quite as panicky as maybe a Nix was after his first read was gone. Now, obviously with Penix, the big issues there, it's the 2 knee injuries. It's the surgically repaired throwing shoulder. He's played, 2 years in a row right now of no injuries? I think that could be enough for a team to bite on him in the event that they don't think they can get the quarterback they want. And to me, whether it's the Raiders who feel like they can't get all the way up to get a Jaden Daniels, or maybe it's the Broncos who can't compete enough to get a J.J. McCarthy, because I think maybe the Vikings may want to go that route unless Drake May winds up falling, who was the quarterback with Josh McCown in high school, I believe. Wild. Lots of stuff to get into. Things to consider. The Jets trade down opportunity is one that I think most fans want to have an option for. There's going to be so many good players available to us at number 10. Whether it is an offensive lineman, whether you're a Bowers guy, whether you're a wide receiver fan, I think Odunze is going to be there. I really hope. That's kind of the guy that I've circled as like the one that I'm hoping we get at 10. The connection with Garrett Wilson, the size profile, the ability to have Garrett Wilson in the slot with free releases is just makes me rock hard. I am 6 to midnight right now thinking about that. Obviously, you guys know my stance on Brock Bowers. Have no problem with the Jets taking him if that's the route they decide to go. Fautanu is someone that I think is phenomenal as far as flexibility, gives you four position insurance across that offensive line. I think he would be above even that Talise Funga or some maybe even an Olu Fashanu, like some of the guys that are deemed a little bit more. I don't want to call him tackly because I guess Talise Funga could move inside as well. But Fontenot would be like the other guy that I'm kind of looking at there. I need to put out, I did not put out my top official, players on my big board. Maybe I'll do like a top 15 prospects or something like that, or maybe my top 10 players that I think the Jets could do. I saw Buffalo Jet fan had a really good tweet today. I don't know if you guys saw that. Had a really good tweet about like, if you were to move up, if you were to stay at 10, if you were to trade down. So I think I might frame it like that because I really like the way he did that. If you haven't checked it out, probably going to be relatively similar to what he had. But really, really good read. Highly recommend you going over that way. Let's go through some of your comments in the chat. Outlaw says, we have to go with a player that plays in a big game that actually has experience. We do not want Zach Wilson situation. Look, I don't think we're going to be taking a quarterback real early in this draft. If you looked at our video from Talkin' Jets draft just prior to this over on the Talkin' Jets channel, we did go over some of the quarterbacks that the Jets have met with that you might be a little surprised. Maybe not even surprised, but just like a little bit of like a, interesting. Where could this potentially be going? And one of those players is Jordan Travis from Florida State, one that a lot of Jet fans have kind of penciled in as that 4th round prospect with a high upside that you might be able to IR for the first year. That's one that's really interesting to me. Quarterback early on, even though we're meeting with all these guys, we've met with Jaden Daniels, we've met with Caleb Williams, we've met with Drake May. That to me is more trying to find out as much intel as you can about the teams in front of you, what their thoughts are, what teams might they be talking to that are behind you, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Vikings, who is coming up and what your board might look like as it falls down, as it gets to number 10. I feel like that's the reconnaissance part of this. But when you start looking at the middle round quarterbacks, that's where it starts to get interesting to me. Really, really fascinated to see where we go. Let's see. Anthony says, would love Penix, think he's the most underrated quarterback. Underrated? Yeah, I guess so. I think the injuries definitely made him fall further down. Maybe his age to some degree too, but I really like Penix a lot. I'm a big, big fan. Alex W. says, Ryan, who do you think we go at number 10? Best guess. I've been saying I think it's going to be Bowers just because I think Odunze goes at 9. But if we can convince the Bears, or if somehow the Bears can convince themselves or another team convinces the Bears to trade out, I think Odunze is absolutely going to fall into our lap at pick 10. The Bears to me are the one team that could really throw a wrench in it. And if not, and like, because I sort of have penciled in the players up to 9. I do think 4 quarterbacks are going to go. Where they go, what number they go, irrelevant to this discussion. I do think Marvin Harrison Jr. and I do think Malik Neighbors go. I think Joe Alt probably goes 7 to the Titans. And then I think top defensive player goes 8 to the Falcons. And then it gets a little confusing because I don't know where the Bears are necessarily thinking. Because they're sort of in a similar situation to us where they got a young stud wide receiver. They have a 1-year rental of a wide receiver from the Chargers. Just weird coincidence. They could go Odunze. I've seen them penciled in for him a lot. And I think 8, 9, 10 could all be trade down opportunities. Like, let's say the Falcons want to trade down at 8. That means the top defensive player is on the board for the Bears at number 9. So that could, that maybe they go defense there, and then Odunze still falls into our lap at 10. Odunze, to me, is the one that I really would like to get. That would be my guess as to what we do. Now, I do think we want to trade down. Maybe that happens more so if Odunze is not there. But I would, if I had to go offensive line, Fontenot's probably my top guy right now, assuming Alt isn't there. I think I would take him because of his positional flexibility and, the upside there for sure. I think he's a plug and play. Could potentially start at either left guard or right tackle. I've said this before. Morgan Moses is only under contract 1 year, $5.5 million. That could absolutely be backup money. And then John Simpson, while we paid him a little bit more than I was thinking we were going to pay him, and it is technically a 2-year deal, it could just be a 1-year contract. So it could be pushing those guys to be better starters. It could be pushing those guys into just high-end depth pieces as well. But I think the Jets are more likely to go with a weapon at 10. That's where I think based on how our free agency went, I think we are positioned to go weapon. I would prefer it to be Odunze because of the contract savings that you have. $20 million wide receiver versus a $10 million tight end. That's sort of the cost analysis that I'm doing in my head. But again, we wanted Michael Mayer at number 15 last year. So if they want to go Bowers and it's a guy that's going to get open near the line of scrimmage, If you think your offensive line might not be great, then maybe someone that could do that is right in your wheelhouse. So there's a few different ways they could go. I know it's not necessarily a concrete answer that I'm giving you, but Odunze would be the one I'm kind of hoping for here. What else you guys talking about? Chrome says, I want Bo Nix, but in the later rounds. I think Nix, if he doesn't go by the end of the first or, by like pick 30, I think someone's going to trade up for him just to have that 5-year contract with him, whether it be the Giants at the top end of round 2. Maybe it's a team like the Patriots or something that want to come up if in the event they trade down and get a haul of picks. I think there's a few different ways. Now, Nix to me feels like it could be the reach pick for the Broncos at 12. I don't love him that high, but based on Peyton's need for a quarterback, I could see where they could go that route, and they don't have a second-round pick. So that's kind of where I see him potentially going. Nightbot reminded me to plug my sponsors. If you want to try any THC seltzers or gummies and you don't feel like going to a dispensary or going to that sketchy dude on the end of the sidewalk or any weird situations, head over to Crescent Canna. There's a link in the description down below. You get 25% off using my code JetsTalk. I've had a blast. Again, I should have this stuff out. The gummies, 25 milligram, banging. Definitely good. And then if you want the cannon, the 50 milligram seltzer, that'll put you on your ass. Very much appreciate both those as someone who maybe doesn't want to consume as much alcohol. My body doesn't recover the same way it did just a few years ago. Not to mention, they got some cool new stuff. They're sending me some sour watermelon seltzers, and some Sleepy Time gummies. I can't wait to get the Sleepy Time gummies. But if you want to check it out, if that's your thing, if you want to try it, click the link in the description down below. Use promo code JetsTalk. Get your 25% off. John Day says, trade down, get Thomas Jr. and Cooper Beebe. And if possible, in the 5th, get a quarterback from Florida, the quarterback from Florida. As a third string, FSU was in shambles after he went down. Kid could be special. So John Day has been spending some time looking at the draft board that I had. I had this whole if this, then that scenario playing out. I really like Brian Thomas Jr. I'm a big fan of his. I like him in a trade down more than I like him at 10. Now, in a scenario where the top 3 wide receivers are gone before the Jets, I think there's too much talent on the board for me to sit at 10. And I would try to move back. And then I would be happy with any one of Brian Thomas Jr., J.C. Latham, Talesa Funga, Fontenot, Bowers. Like that to me is a cluster of guys that I'd be happy with anyone, and that would cause me to pivot whatever our next pick is in that sort of situation. Cooper Beebe, I do really like, and obviously we were talking about Jordan Travis, the quarterback from Florida State. I think he's going to end up being a 4th-round pick, so I don't know if you're going to be able to get him in the 5th, but I am on board. I do like him a nice amount. Let's see. I see Lawrence in here. Lawrence says, love Odunze. How many times have we met with him? Williams isn't going to be ready or close to 100%, just going off what Salah said. Yeah, to me, that's what put Weapon a little higher on my... Weapon was already like my preferred route based on getting Moses and Tyron Smith. But after hearing that they were not quite so set on Mike Williams being ready for the start of training camp or even potentially the start of the season, I feel like that does shift the priority level up a little bit higher for a weapon. Now, it could be a few different directions, but Odunze is the one I really like. Now, as far as how many times the Jets have met with him, let me see. I have it right here. It was the top of the list. I think it was the top of the list. There he is. The Jets have a top 30 visit with him. They met with a private workout with him. They attended his pro day, and I guess they did not meet with him at the Combine. Dom doesn't have a meeting with him at the Combine, but very much like me some Odunze for sure. All right, let's hop over. I'm going to plug in the call-in show. So all you guys have to do is click on the link. Boom. You can either scan the QR code or click the link in the live chat. I will pin that at the top of the chat there, so you guys can click on that to come on in and give me your thoughts. We could talk a little bit about the draft. We could talk about trade down scenarios. We could talk about the Jets jerseys dropping next week. I would bet we find out What's today? Today's the 8th. I would bet the week before the draft. I think they told us we're going to find out on the, was it the 5th? No. Yeah, the 15th was where so they're saying we're going to find out on the 15th, which means we're going to find out probably on Friday. we're going to find out before, the date they're telling us we're going to actually find out. That's usually how this all works. Someone leaks something, someone's going to get in trouble, all that good stuff. Let me see. What am I doing here? Clicking all the random stuff. All right, I've got Charles and Jeremy on the line. I'll get you guys in uno momento. I just want to throw in a super chat. Tapseer, thank you so much for the 10 spot. Greatly appreciated. I will keep an eye on your chat. Oh, boom. I see one right here. I don't know if you want it on screen. Is there another comment? Because I didn't see a comment with the super chat, but let me just see. Oh, okay. I got two of them. So I'll go through these two comments because I think this is probably what you're trying to say. Tapseer says, draft Michael Penix Jr. at 10. Sit him behind Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor. The Jets are one injury away from disaster. If something happens to A-Rod, we have Tyrod, and the fan base will be behind him. So I very much like Penix a lot. I do not endorse taking him at 10 because I do think you should be all in on your Super Bowl window while you have Aaron Rodgers. That's my preferred route. I'm not opposed to playing for the future. I just don't think that needs to happen at 10 for a guy you're hoping to sit on the bench for the next 2 years. As far as third quarterback in general, I very much want to IR Jordan Travis or whoever our quarterback is, maybe stash him on the practice squad. I don't want to carry 3 quarterbacks into the season. Much like I said this past year, I like the idea of 2 quarterbacks on the roster. Use that extra roster spot for an offensive lineman or for an extra wide receiver or something along those lines. That would be my preference. Now, as far as Tyrod and like the third quarterback in general, I feel like if you have to get down to your third quarterback, you're probably throwing your hands up in the air and just saying, well, shit, we're handing the ball off to Breece Hall anyway. So I'm not too concerned about the quarterback. You follow that up with, but to keep this busy running, you need a dynamic quarterback for Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. You shouldn't have to wait to tank to draft a quarterback for the future. You don't have to force a rookie to start. I completely agree. I don't think you have to force a rookie to start. I just don't think 10 is the spot to take the quarterback. If you want to trade down a bit, get an extra second round pick, and then now you're sitting towards the middle to end of the first round and Penix is still there, and you're drafting a player that, you're not planning on having an impact for this season necessarily, I still don't love it, but I could understand a 5-year contract at least. I don't know. I could use some big Penix energy. Jace stops in with a super chat, says, my girlfriend is a Georgia fan and becomes a Jet fan with a Bowers pick, but I want to trade down and Thomas Jr., potentially a second round pick addition. Your thoughts? Yes, I am with you, Jace. I guess if I had my way about it, we would trade down and still make your girlfriend a Jets fan by selecting Brock Bowers. I don't love taking Bowers at 10, especially if Odunze is there. I would prefer Odunze over Bowers. But in a trade down scenario, I would be very on board with taking him. And if you can add a second round pick to boot, hell yeah, I'm on board. All right, let's go over to the chat or over to the call-in. We're going to throw Charles on the screen. Charles, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
I am not too shabby. Definitely. Did you feel that earthquake the other day? Did I talk to you? I don't know if I talked to you about it. I think I did.
To be honest with you, when the earthquake was going on, I had no idea what the hell was going on. I thought there was construction going by.
My old apartment, they used to blast in a quarry behind, and I was like, oh, okay, boom. Yeah, they're just blasting. And then I was like, I don't live next to a quarry anymore. What's going on? My house is falling down. Scary stuff. So what's on your mind,
I saw Godzilla and Kong the New Empire on Saturday.
So did I.
I loved it.
So I enjoyed it. I really liked Godzilla -1 a lot more, but it's also 2 totally different styles of Godzilla movie, for sure. One's the Soho, one's the Toho.
Godzilla -1, but I definitely plan on seeing it eventually.
So it's a fully subtitled movie, which I did not know going in. I was totally fine with it, but totally subtitled, and it's more of the Japanese version of like Oppenheimer almost. Well, it's definitely it has a bunch of callbacks to the 1954 Godzilla, but it's definitely more of like the atomic bomb era Oppenheimer Japanese perspective almost. That's the vibe I got from it, at least. Very, very cool. Highly recommend it. But go on. What do you want to talk about?
I was on your video with Dom C. As you could tell, I gave you a super chat.
Oh yeah. Thank you very
Anyways,
much.
there's a lot of good players in this draft. I do like Michael Penix Jr., but I think there's a chance he may be a second round pick, even though his
Mhm.
last 2 years were fantastic. Plus, I was very impressed with him in the
Mhm.
national championship. Yes, Michigan dominated, but they mostly ran the football. Penix, I like the fact that he kept his composure, he kept his poise, he didn't let the pressure rattle him too much. Yes, I understand that he's had a couple of injuries, season-ending injuries, but the last 2 years he's been 100% healthy, which is great. But I think he's going to be more of a second-round pick. But then again, who the hell knows?
Mhm.
Um,
I see in the
uh,
chat someone asked, did the Jets meet with Penix? As far as Dom C's list is concerned, I did not see Penix meeting with the Jets on there. He met with we met with Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and then there's
what
guys in
about
the mid
Joel?
rounds. There's Pratt, Rattler, Joe Milton, Jordan Travis, those type of guys.
I know they also met with Joel too. I would
They
love for
did.
the Jets to take him, but he's maybe a top 10, maybe a top 5 pick.
I think he's going 7 to the Titans. That's my gut feeling on that.
I just checked out this mock draft. They have him going to the Giants.
Interesting. Now, it's funny. If the Giants don't go quarterback, I have a few friends that are Giants fans that are like, I'm fine with wide receiver, but I really wouldn't mind some offensive line help. It's just a lot of first round picks devoted to the
Well, they need a
offensive line.
freaking quarterback.
They do, but they're kind of locked into Daniel Jones, at least for this season. I think there's a really good shot that Dak Prescott does not re-sign with the Cowboys, and he ultimately ends up leaving the Cowboys after this season, and he would be the perfect quarterback for Brian Daboll, who has, to this point, not selected his quarterback. He inherited Daniel Jones. Charles, any last words?
Yeah.
Too late, don't care. Sorry, Charles. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You're ejected from the cockpit. Boys and girls, call in number is on the screen. You can scan that QR code or you can click the link in the live chat to join the call-in show. I've got Mr. Jeremy Jets Chaos, then Dylan, then Abe on the line. Jeremy, how are you tonight?
What's up, man? That was great.
Oh, that felt good. Talk to me. What's on your mind?
Up, man. I can't handle Penix at 10. There was a time a month ago before it was out of the question, maybe a little longer than that, where the question was if McCarthy or Jaden Daniels, and at that time, more realistic, things have changed. We're at 10. You know, what would I do if the Jets took them? And I said, it's not what I want, but it's digestible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not digestible to me because that's a reach. And we're not in a position to reach for a quarterback with 2 years of Rodgers ahead of us.
I completely agree. I don't think you reach on a quarterback there, not necessarily even at 10, but just like you need to get value if you're taking them at 10. Like it has to be like, wow, I can't believe this guy is here at 10. And then you make the pick. As opposed to like, oh, we just kind of want this guy to maybe sit behind Rodgers, who this regime, if Rodgers doesn't work out, the next regime's got to inherit, that next quarterback then? That seems kind of silly to me.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. I've always been on the Travis train, man. Just IR him. If we're going to do a quarterback, let's do him. He has a good story, a reason of why he's not high in the draft. It's because of an injury. He's really round prospect, so there is talent there. There is hope there. So, I totally get that, and I'm totally on that train if we're going to take a quarterback in this draft.
Oh, yeah. I see Snowball in the chat asking, Ryan, who was the original 3? So it was actually the original 4 originally for Talking Jets was myself, Green Bean, O'Leary, and Gangrene David. I haven't talked to David. I saw David in the at one of the training camp practices. Good dude. Wish he still did some content from time to time. Jeremy, has any of your thoughts changed in regards to how the Jets are approaching the 10 pick at all since we last spoke?
I think we're stuck in this cycle of just we have, 2 different major needs, depth at 2 places, wide receiver, offensive line, and tackle. I mean, it's just that simple. I've actually spent more time thinking about what are we going to do at 72 if we trade and do get a second round pick. Then how does it look? And once we make a trade back and secure that second round pick, where's the draft deeper? Where does it make sense to go with the first pick? And now, what are you going to think about in the second pick?
Yeah, I think that the 72 pick is so much more fascinating. Like like I can kind of envision what the 10 pick will be, at least to some degree of margin of error. But the whole 72 pick, it all hinges on what happens at number 10, and it hinges on, do we trade down? Like, do we who's there? Do we want to come up into the second round and trade up? I feel like the Jets will have a second round pick. It's just a matter of how we make it happen. Is it trade down to acquire one or trade up to acquire one? Jeremy, any last words?
No,
Nope, sorry, you're ejected from the cockpit. Oh man, ruthless with the chicken tonight. I've got Dylan joining the show, and then Abe. Dylan, how you doing tonight?
Hey Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Oh, great. Did you check out the that eclipse today?
I did. I looked at it without glasses on because it was so cloudy. It's probably not a good way to do that. But then what I did was I took my phone. I got like 100 times zoom. I only went up to like 40 times zoom. And I got like a nice solid picture of like a little bit of shade covering the sun. It was neat. Once in a lifetime.
They had two sunglasses, pretty much like heavy duty. The black.
I was like, man, I wish I had a welder's helmet.
Yeah, right.
It was so cloudy where I was, but one of the girls in my office had the glasses, so we tried putting them on, but you couldn't see anything because there wasn't like any bright sun coming through at that point.
Right. Yeah, we had overcast too. Well, I just wanted to call in. Obviously, there's been this big debate over what we're gonna do at 10. And like Jeremy said before, we have a few needs, and I think I might have a solution. Now, it could be a little out there, but I think JD is going to make a big splash move. Like he did in 2022. I think it's going to be similar to, we're going to grab a couple of like top 10 picks in their selective positions. So Chicago is drafting 9. A lot of their second pick. A lot of mock drafts have them going edge. I think we could offer Chicago our third JFM, which would alleviate some cap, and we have a crowded room defensive line, and we offer our first next year. This is an all-in year, and if it all goes wrong, and it doesn't matter, but if it goes right, well, then that first round pick next year, it's not going to hurt us so well. Something similar also with Denver, but I think we could still trade up and keep our 10th round or our 10th pick, either grabbing Odunze and a top 5 tackle, just costing us our next year's first round pick, which I think is fine.
That would be interesting. I don't think the Bears will want to do that. I could be wrong. Now, their coach, I would think, is some degree on the hot seat, but I guess if you're taking a new quarterback, maybe you're not planning on moving off of him in the next year anyway, so maybe that is something they'd find attractive. But falling from 9 to the 3rd round, even though you're getting the first next year, if the Jets are good, you're probably thinking that's going to be the end of the first round for next year. That feels like
if they sell JFM,
sure.
Right. So
they'd have to probably extend JFM on a new contract because that deal's definitely a little expensive. I would love 2 top 10 picks though. Dylan, any last words? Sorry, don't care.
You're out of here.
Thank you so much for the call, brother. Greatly appreciated. All right, let's go over to Abe. See how Abe's doing. Abe, how you doing tonight?
What up, Ryan? It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Any thoughts on what the Jets are doing? What's going on in your brain as far as our New York Jets are concerned? What's on your mind?
So I actually flipped a little bit from the last time we spoke. Sorry, okay. Jesus Christ. I'm so tired today. So I'm not. Previously, when we spoke before, I was all about O-line in the first round. Mm-hmm. I was O-line in the first round, but I wasn't against weapon. Mainly receiver. Still not really on the Bowers train. I mean, sure, we'll see what happens. But now I'm definitely feeling more like I think. Like I guess I still want to go O-line in the first, but like I'm definitely like leaning a lot more like, damn, like receiver in the first would be really, really good. Like I like it a lot.
Sure.
It my
the
I
value
guess
of the
my
contract is
mentality.
massive.
We'll say that again.
The value of the contract for a wide receiver versus like a guard or a tight end, it's so drastic. There's like a $10 million swing in terms of free agent versus like young rookie contract.
No, I know. I guess my thought process on it. I like the point that Tigo made. He said on a stream with BJF, and I think it was Gunny. He said like I would hate to be like in a playoff game come January and not be able to score points because we decided to go O-line in the first. And I mean, listen, like I think Rodgers, I mean, still like he might his body might not be, you know, what it was a decade ago, but like up here, I doubt that's leaving anytime soon. So I think he could still, you know, he could still do enough to, you know, like lift up Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Brees, Conklin, all these guys. But could you imagine the firepower though? Like if we had like a Neighbors or an Odunze? Because I mean, I guess like MHJ is probably out of the question. Like unless like
I feel like he's a lock like before us.
Yeah, exactly. If we were to somehow get Malik Neighbors though, like I mean, I guess like, you know, like the most realistic option would probably be Odunze because Neighbors probably go before. But if like something happens and we get Neighbors, wow. And Neighbors I'm also thinking too. Yeah. I'm also thinking too, like, could you imagine like how Rodgers would, like, how that would make him feel, you know, like for the first time in his career that the team that he's on gets him like a bona fide like blue chip weapon in the first, and especially a top, like in the top 10, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah. He was with the Packers forever. They never got him that blue chip player. I'm a firm believer. When we had the conversation with him back in March, the Jets said, hey, we're going to use our first pick, thinking it's going to be a second round pick, on a top weapon for you. We're going to get you the best possible weapon we can get. And then they're like, oh, okay, you got hurt. Now we got a number 1 overall pick. It's top 10. Well, if one of these guys is there, not to mention like Garrett Wilson has that little bit of a rapport with Odunze as well. The contested catch nature of Odunze just fits exactly what I think the Jets want to do. And then you move Garrett Wilson into the slot. Oh, free releases for days.
The last thing I want to say, I just really want to see like some semblance of a modern NFL offense, because it's been like I hate watching other teams and us not having that. Like I would love to see that, but
we make football look really hard in a league where they're trying to make points really easy. Abe, thank you so much for the call. You have been ejected from the cockpit. We're gonna go over to Afram. I got Afram, then I got Ricky from New York, and then Rich Rise. I see Sneakers to Boots and Phenom in there. I'm going to leave you guys in the little swirly room, so just hang out back there just because it winds up beating up my internet connection. We're going to go over to Afram first. Afram, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm feeling more confident about this Jets draft the more I continue to think we might end up getting Rome Odunze at 10.
I'm thinking that unless a quarterback or the wide receiver falls, we won't be able to move back. Because I think someone's going to want the quarterback for sure, or they'll covet a wide receiver at that point. Now, based on, this is just my thinking, I think they're going to go O-line only because if they want to give Rodgers a weapon, they got to give him a proven weapon. I think they go after Boyd.
Ooh, interesting. Big slot, kind of replace Lazard.
He's proven. Probably a 1-year deal, proven deal, another 1-year proven deal, and going all in now, where you yes, these guys may be proved they'll be good this year, but there's no guarantee, right?
Boyd would be an interesting one. It would be a play that I hope happens post-draft.
It would. Based on what I'm seeing, he's waiting till after the draft to see who's in need of a wide receiver, which is I look at it as taking a risk, because if in a big wide receiver draft, a lot of these teams will end up picking a wide receiver and won't see a need for him unless they're in that, the Chiefs more likely in there, us, several other teams, the
Buffalo, missing a few wide receivers now.
Buffalo's got a lot more picks they need to get in need of. They've lost a lot of people,
Yeah.
but it's an interesting scenario. It depends on it's like it's a crap game. You hope you hope someone falls where you can play around with, but you still only got 10 minutes to make that deal. So,
Oh, for sure. That's why these mock drafts are so important, and like these
yeah.
if this then that scenarios. We were talking over on the Talking Jets draft channel. I don't know if you were hanging out with us over there, but
yeah, so
we were talking about how these meetings with a Caleb Williams, with a Drake May, with a Jaden Daniels, how important those are for our own reconnaissance. Like, who are these guys potentially talking about? Like, oh, hey, the Raiders want to move up for me. Okay, oh, the Broncos want to move up for me. Now we start thinking like, okay, what players could fall to us at 10? Because I agree with you. I think it's going to be a quarterback if someone wants it at 10, but I think it's going to have to be quarterback 5. And whether that's a Penix or a Nix, whoever it is someone really going to give up enough for you to want to trade down? And how far are you willing to go back? To me, if you could fall back to 12 or 13, that is the perfect ideal situation.
yes.
And because then you could wind up in a situation where you get an Odunze potentially at 12 plus an extra 3rd round pick or something along those lines. That would be
yes.
primo for me. Ephraim, thank you so much for the call. You have been ejected from the cockpit. We've got Ricky from New York. Then we got Rich Rise. Then we got Sneakers to Boots on the line. So let's go over to Ricky. Ricky, how you doing, brother? See if he's paying attention.
Hey, how's it going, Ryan?
Not too bad. I don't have you on camera. That's fine, but I just want to let you know. You're just a black screen, but I can hear you, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. So what's going on with you? How you feeling tonight?
You know what? I'm feeling pretty good. You know what? We could go so many different directions. I'm one of the outliers. I liked what Dom said about corner. The only corner that I would even consider early on would be Quinyon Mitchell, just because I love the way that kid plays. It's so fiery with the swag, and he would be awesome next to Sauce. But the only way we
do love that. I am not a corner in the 1st round kind of guy. Corner in the 3rd round, I could understand.
Yeah, if we, like I said, a lot would have to happen in order for us to do that.
Sure.
Maybe take Reed in next year's 2nd and trade him for T. Higgins. Then we got the weapon, and then something like that would be feasible. It would take some really crazy moves in order for that to be a possibility. Otherwise, I like a guy like maybe Renardo Green in the 4th round to fill that same role. The other thing I wanted to touch on was I listen to all these different shows and watch all the different mocks and stuff. Man, if Trey Benson is there when we pick at 72 and some one of these shows you're watching says we don't take him, turn that show off right there. Stop watching. And there's no way, we couldn't pass on that. JD's drafted a running back every draft, and dude, I'm not worried about thunder for Brees's lightning. I'm worried about lightning and lightning. Talking about a guy with 4.3 speed that can catch, that's a game breaker. What if, God forbid, Brees missed an extended period of time? We don't need a guy that's just a goal line guy or just a pass catcher in that instance. We need somebody that can do it all. Just having 2 weapons like that in the backfield would be scary good.
Have you watched any of Braden Allen yet? From Wisconsin, the running back.
I haven't gotten real far into it. I've only seen
a look at him. This dude's impressive, and I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me look up his age real quick. I'm pretty sure he's 19 coming out of the draft. Let me see if that's accurate. So he's 20 years old right now. He just turned 20 this past January. So he'll play his entire rookie year, 20 years old. He can't even consume alcohol. He's going to be drafted and play an entire NFL season.
Be a good thing.
Dude, he's an animal. Definitely take a look at him. He's a fun running back. I would definitely be pumped if the Jets brought him in. I don't know where he's going to go. You might have to take him in the 3rd round, which is a little, admittedly, higher than I want to take him. I'm hoping, 4th round would be a nice spot. But he's a fun guy to watch. Ricky, thanks so much for the call. You have been ejected from the cockpit. Let's go over to Rich Rise. Rich, How you doing tonight?
What's up, Ryan? How you doing, man?
Oh, as always, I'm hanging in there. What's on your mind?
I feel it. Nothing, man. Trimester's about to end. I get a nice little break from school. Excited for the draft. So I know you're a very pro playmaker. I want to talk to you about why we should go offensive line.
Okay.
Maybe we can go playmaker and get the line later, but we have two really good starting tackles that we got in free agency. They're 33 years old. That's concerning. Tackles, you have to overpay if you're going to sign one in free agency. The talent pool is never that good. The reason I think we need to draft offensive line at 10, though, it's because we're not going to be reaching. There's going to be really good guys available at 10. If you can get a 10-year stud at tight end, that's cool. But if you can get a 10-year stud at tackle and you don't have to overpay next year, that's really good. And we have a 2-year window. It's not just 1 year. I think we filled holes in free agency, but I think it's time to draft a good tackle. I prefer to trade down and then get someone good, but I feel very passionately about it.
So I'll counter that with some thoughts about offensive line. So one, I do think that the Jets coaching staff likes Carter Warren. I think whether it be one tackle or the other, I think they like him as a spot fill-in and a potential future starter. I would say Tyron Smith, while he hasn't played a full season since 2015, hasn't missed any of the 7 playoff games that the Cowboys played in. So he's always healthy when it matters. He doesn't have season-ending injuries. And then Morgan Moses,
where that's different, but I agree. I like what you're saying.
Sure.
I like that.
And look, age gets up there. Rodgers hadn't missed any games for the longest time coming in, and then freak injury happens. Like that. Unfortunately, it's hard to plan for that. The other side of it is Morgan Moses on the right-hand side. Obviously, $5.5 million contract for 1 year. It could very well be 1 year and done. He played with a torn pec, I think it was pec, this past season, and he basically has played 95+% of the snaps every single season until this last year where he played, I think it was 73%. So I think they're banking on those guys being healthy. And Robert Saleh also said we really like the depth that we were able to have on the offensive line because we had guys that we weren't intending to start wind up playing meaningful reps. So that's sort of where my chess pieces start moving around. Now, I am pro weapon at the top of the draft. I would say Odunze is the one that I'm really hoping falls to us because I love the idea of Garrett Wilson in the slot.
He would be the exception for me.
Yep. If he's there at 10, I think from a positional value, it makes a crazy ton of sense because wide receivers are getting $20 million a year as well. So I do like that. It gives Rodgers the weapon that Green Bay never gave him in the first round to go along with Garrett too. And to me, that's what sort of trumps it. Now, if you can slide down, and if Odunze is gone, if Bowers is gone, or if you don't even want to have Bowers, Jets apparently have not met with Bowers according to Dom C's list that he provided, then I could understand going with the offensive lineman, and someone like Fontenot is the one that I would really want. Someone that provides multi-position flexibility. He's the tackle from Washington. Obviously,
I like him. I like Fashanu more, but I like him. Cool.
I like Fashanu. I don't know if Fashanu has the positional flexibility to give us that depth piece for AVT. And if I'm going O-line in the first round, that's sort of what I would like to see happen. But I'm on board Odunze all the way. Rich, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. I've got Sneakers to Boots and then Yeti coming in. I just want to get to a few super chats real quick. David D pops in, says, the moon is hollow. Go New York Jets. David D, I love you so much. I love the hollow moon theory. It is so much fun. I love a good, juicy conspiracy theory. We've never been to the moon, all that good stuff. Oh, I might have to do maybe I'll do a members only stream or something like that where we just talk about the most outlandish, ridiculous conspiracy stuff. Oh, hollow moon theory though, that's a good one. If you guys don't subscribe to the Y-Files, totally check out his hollow moon theory. Lots of fun. Hype comes in with a super chat. Thank you, dude. Says, good trade idea, wrong team. Trade should be Atlanta gets number 10 and one of the seventh, along with JFM, gets the Jets number 8 and a 6th with a wide receiver option at 8. So I guess you're saying Atlanta gets number 10 and one of the 7ths along with JFM. So if you can trade JFM to move up in the draft, that is a home run because that's a player that you think you may not be able to restructure or may want to cut at some point. that gives some positional flexibility to a defensive-minded head coach in Raheem Morris down in Atlanta, that would be really interesting. I like that a lot, Hype. I'd have to go in and see. I don't know much about Atlanta's defensive schemes or how JFM fits into that mold or what they would potentially value him at. I would imagine going from 8 to 10 is probably the equivalent of like a 3rd-round pick, if I had to guess. But I'm not entirely sure. But if that's an option, I'm cool with using JFM as a trade chip. You have another super chat in here that says Atlanta boosts defense with JFM and gets and 10 and gets a weapon from the Jets. So for the Jets. So if the Jets are able to throw a piece that they would have gotten rid of anyway, like I was just saying, in JFM, and Atlanta, it allows us to leapfrog the Bears to get Odunze. Like if we think Odunze could go at 9, then I'm down with that. I'm 100% down with that. I would not matter to me whatsoever to give up that move of picks. And then I think you figure out some way to replace JFM. Even if it's with a lesser talent, I think I'm okay with that based on where I think the Jets are going to be, what shape we'll be in. Let's head over to Sneakers to Boots. Sneakers to Boots. How you doing, brother? Long time no talk.
What's going on, dude? How you been?
I'm feeling good. I'm like getting hyped up on this draft. We're just like less than 3 weeks away. I cannot wait. What are your feelings? What are you thinking the Jets are going to do at number 10?
What I feel is that we needed offensive line. Oh, offensive line. Don't care about the weapon. I mean, yeah, it's great, but I've watched the Jets for the past 12 years, and they have sucked ass on the offensive side of the offensive line of the ball, regardless of the quarterback. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't have a specific one in mind. I want either Latham and Fuanga. I do think that they kind of have the nastiness and also kind of the power gap scheme that we're going to be running. So I think that's kind of be a little bit easier transition.
I agree. Those would be the two linemen I like. I like Fought now a lot because of the flexibility, but I agree Latham and Talesa Funga are probably the two that are like the most. I'll say those three. Those three are my favorite offensive linemen. But go on. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no, I mean, preferably I want to trade back and recoup at least a 2nd-round pick, even a 3rd-round pick, maybe trade up back into the 2nd. I do think this draft is stacked with receivers. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers can make anybody look good, so I'm not really too worried about that. And honestly, though, I do even trust JD just making shit happen and just going up into the 5th or 6th spot and maybe drafting Malik Neighbors or something like that. I would rather not trade up for Odunze. That's just me personally. I do think he has a little bit of growing up to do with his route running. Maybe take a little bit longer. I just don't trust this offensive staff, honestly. Like that's where
fair.
my bugaboo is. Like if it was defensive all day.
Yeah, for Odunze, the hype brought up an interesting point. If you can trade JFM to like Atlanta, who wants defensive players, and you throw them, a late round pick, plus they get number 10, just to fall back 2 spots if they think that the Bears may not take the player they covet, because I think the Bears could go defense. And if they take, maybe one of them likes Dallas Turner, the other one likes Jared Verse, or who knows. But if you're trading up, I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. is just such a high floor type of player. I like Neighbors. I wouldn't be upset with Neighbors in a trade up scenario. But I think if I were to trade up, I'd want the safest high ceiling player, and that would be like the guy that Garrett Wilson played with in Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I would love either of them, depending on the capital we have to give up. But Ryan, the impending golf season, I hope you don't have to deal with too many country ladies, old country ladies. So I hope you're keeping out of your hair.
So now, unfortunately, I'm no longer the director of golf at that golf course anymore. But okay. I have shifted to a new role to allow me a little bit more family flexibility, a little bit more time with the YouTube channel and stuff. But now I get to deal with some of the complaints from the golf courses. So when I get those old ladies that are yelling at you from behind, saying that you're hitting balls into them or whatever, I get to deal with that for all of the golf courses now. So Sneakers to Boots, yeah. Keep it on the fairway. Thank you so much for the call, brother. I'll see you out there. Oh, Sneakers to Boots. Joining the show. Always love it, dude. Thank you so much. We got 6 more minutes, so let's take the I'm gonna take the QR code down off the screen. I'll just talk to you guys in the chat a little bit. see where your thoughts are on everything. I saw Papa Yeti. He was calling in, hopped out, said, "Damn, I had to hang up. Sorry, I was going to inquire on the golf course." So, if you want to call in at some point, I probably should not plug the the course or whatever on the screen. But I'm good with the Jets. Have zero concerns. It can only get better. Hey, Papa, you know what? It could definitely only get better, considering we had the worst quarterback play like ever for the last few years, and we have Aaron Rodgers coming back. So I'm very, very excited for that. Rich Rise says, JPA Football says the Colts want to trade up into the top 10 for Brock Bowers. Come on up. I would love to trade down to number 15 with the Colts for them to come up and get Brock Bowers. That would be an absolutely awesome situation for the New York Jets. I don't know if I buy it, but if they want to trade up, I'm all about it. Let's see. What else you guys talking about? Ricky says, I'd trade with the Colts if Odunze isn't there. That's sort of my thought process. I don't know. Well, here's the other side of that coin, right? Like, if Odunze is there and Bowers is there, do you like enough of the players, or do you think that, well, I guess Bowers would be the pick, right? So for the Colts, does Odunze make it to 15? I feel like someone would trade in front of us at that point. I don't think you screw around with Odunze on the board. I would run that ticket up and not look back. So I'm with you, Ricky, on that. Rich says, good wide receivers available through the whole draft. Getting a long-term starter at offensive tackle is much harder. It definitely is. Definitely is, 100%. But we have two starters. And we have a guy that I think the coaching staff likes. I do think we are going to take a lineman at some point. I just hope it's in a trade down, or a trade down and then a pick in the second round, or a trade up from the third round into the second round. That's where I would kind of prefer. Ricky says, Charles, the Eagles could not pay Riddick, and nobody was going to give them anything for him, knowing that why, when you can just wait, that is not what Riddick's value is, not even close. So let's see. What was that? Charles talking about a third-round pick for JFM or whatever. So basically, Riddick, I think, could have gone higher. I think the Eagles tampered with Bryce Huff, and there's probably a little bit of like, we fucked up, so we're going to give you Riddick for a little bit under market value. Abe asks, is that a Curtis Martin jersey? No. I've got Revis, I got Corbett, and then I got Brees on that side. Unless you're talking about someone in the chat. Charles says, what are the odds if Rodgers playing all 17 games? The over-under has to be pretty low if you were to place a bet on it. I mean, I think it would be pretty high that he's going to play all 17 games. If you look like historically through his entire history of his career, he's played every game, like every year, with the exception of like last year, the COVID year, and the year he broke the clavicle. So I would bet he is going to play every game this year. Billy says, draft left tackle and sign Boyd or OBJ. Look, I could understand people wanting to do that. I just very much want to draft a big difference maker in that early part of the draft. I feel like getting an Odunze is such a different level than a Boyd or an OBJ. But you can argue if you don't think he's ready to perform right out of the box, maybe you want the proven guy. Billy says, see Ryan in Caddyshack 2 in a theater near you. Didn't they make a Caddyshack 2? I think they may have. That would be great. I could be Bill Murray. Whew. Exploding flowers. Love it. Infrared says, the Colts want Bowers, guys. Love it. Let them trade up. All about it. Tapseer says, this being a heavy quarterback draft, why don't you draft your quarterback in the future? Why settle for a quarterback in the third round? Listening to everyone's opinion, the team is ready to go. Why force quarterback? Zach Wilson. Why force a quarterback? Being so heavy, why settle for a quarterback in the third round? I feel like you're all over the map on this comment, Tapseer. I'm a little confused. With it being a quarterback-heavy draft, why not draft a quarterback of the future? That implies you want a quarterback earlier, and then you say, why settle for a quarterback in the third round? Implying you would prefer a quarterback higher in the draft. We don't have a second-round pick, so you're saying first-round pick. Listen to everyone's opinion on this team is ready to go. Why force a quarterback, Zach Wilson? So you're saying just draft a quarterback high and let him sit so it's not like a Zach Wilson? Is that what you're trying to say? I think that's how I'm trying to interpret this right now. I think 10 needs to be a player to help you this year. That's really what I want. Hey, the hashtag guy's in here. I don't know if it's Paul or Mario, but what's up? If you guys like Buffalo content or want to hear some intel on our division rival Buffalo Bills, or you just want to see them cry after they wind up losing to the Jets, which is inevitable, head over to hashtag sports. Great guys, good dudes. Bought me dinner when I was up in Niagara Falls. They're good guys. Stay away from Penix, Ryan. So I don't know if you're terrified of Penix potentially being a New York Jet, or if you're just saying stay away from him. Oh, it's Mario. Hey, what's up, Mario? Or if it's just that you think he's injury prone and whatnot. You don't trust him. I'm fascinated to see what receiver do you want, and do you think you're coming up early in the draft, Mario? Like, are you guys trying to come up for like a Brian Thomas Jr.? Are you guys happy with a Keon Coleman at that point in the draft? I'm interested to see where you guys potentially go. He says, I don't want any of these wide receivers in the division. Dude, Odunze is going to be a Jet. If he's there at 10, I think that's the pick. I've been saying I think Bowers is going to be the pick because I think Odunze goes 9. But if Odunze is there at 10, I think Odunze is the selection. And then Mario says, I think they're going for Thomas 100%. So Michael Thomas Jr., or sorry, not Michael Thomas, Brian Thomas Jr. at LSU is definitely my wide receiver 4 in this class. And if the Jets trade down, I would take him. If the Jets fall to 15, 17, 16, somewhere in that ballpark, would totally sign off on that. Bills are sitting at what, pick 28? Is that right? So they'd have to come up a little bit more. He says maybe Xavier Legette later on. Xavier Legette is like baby A.J. Brown, in my opinion. I really like him in the second round. Do you guys have more than one second round pick? I'd have to look at your draft. I don't actually know what you guys got. I'm a big fan of that. I think that's sort of where Buffalo's looking. That bigger styled wide receiver. Legette is a thick-bodied dude. Keon Coleman's a taller kind of, bigger body contested catch type guy. I think you could see that. Rich Rise saying Keon Coleman or Xavier Legette in the second round, one of those types of guys would be dope. I don't know if he's talking about, in particular, the Bills, or if he just means their prospects in general. Adirondack Fly Guy says, would you trade out of the first round for Carolina's 33 and 39 pick? Personally, I feel the back half of the first round has the same talent level as the second round projections. I would not do that. That's way too far back. I'm not trading that far back out of the first round when you can get a blue chipper at 10. I would say the farthest I'm willing to fall back would be things have to break the wrong way, and I'm going back to 22 with the Eagles. That would be the farthest I'd want to go back. I agree there's some really cool value at 33 and 39, but that's if you feel like you have all your starters set and you're not looking for a guy that you want to start immediately. And that's not to say you can't get a starter like a Breece Hall at the top end of the second round. Like, you could definitely do that. I don't know. We'll see. See you later, Mario. He says, passengers in the chat, smash the like button. Got to teach tomorrow. Keep crushing it, Ryan. Talk with you soon. Yeah, I got to get Mario on. I'll get you on here soon. Maybe after the draft, we'll do a little recap of the division rivals and whatnot. So definitely check that out. Harlan says, they did make a Caddyshack 2. They couldn't get Ted Knight, so they brought in Jackie Mason. I don't know if I ever watched Caddyshack 2. I'll be honest. Whatever. Infrared says Breece Hall would more than love a lineman with fresh legs. AVT with back-to-back injuries ain't it. No backup for Smith ain't it. I would say the backup for Tyron Smith is Carter Warren, and I think it's more so the idea of Carter Warren being a spot start guy, because as of right now, Tyron Smith has not missed the last 7 Cowboys playoff games dating back to 2015. So I do think our tackles are kind of set in that capacity. Now, as far as offensive linemen, I'm sure Breece will love that. I'm sure he will also love having one less linebacker on the field if you can put out another receiving threat. And now more teams have to play a few more defensive backs. I think that's a potential as well. Jets Gang says, I'm sure the Falcons coach was with JFM with the Rams. So he was definitely on the Rams. I'd have to go back and see if they overlapped. I don't know how long Morris was there for. But that would be an awesome trade. I do really like that. I would be a big fan of that. All right, boys and girls, the 10 o'clock mock is going on over on Green Bean's channel. So I'm going to bid you adieu tonight. Make sure you leave some comments down below. I want to hear your thoughts on potentially trading down, quarterbacks coming up, that sort of stuff. I want to hear from you guys. And then also, give that guy Green Bean and Dom C a little bit of love from me over here. This is Jets Talk, signing off. JETS.
Family on three, 1, 2, 3.